In this video, I'm going to teach you the Talon grind, and it looks like this. You can also do a bind out of that. It's pretty simple, and it looks kind of cool, so I'm going to show you that in this video as well. So when you do a Talon grind, what's actually happening is you're going to catch the yo-yo underneath and on the inside of these cups right here with your thumb and then one of your fingers. You can really use any finger, but we do recommend using your middle finger. Since it's longer, you can actually get more clearance, so you can balance the yo-yo on your thumb and finger without it touching any part of your hand, and that's really important if you want to get longer spin times. So the hardest part of learning the Talon grind is just getting the catch when you do it out of the air like that. And so if you already know how to do a finger grind, you can cheat it a little bit so you can work on the grind itself without having to worry about the catch. And that just looks like this. You can just get up into a finger grind and then go into a Talon grind like that. As you're first practicing this trick, there's two problems that you'll probably run into. The first one that's a little bit more common is when you catch the yo-yo, instead of it just sitting nicely on your hand and doing the grind, it starts to orbit around your fingers like this. And there's two reasons why this can happen. The first one is that you're pinching the yo-yo a little bit too much as it's doing the grind. And when you do that, instead of just having the yo-yo rest on your thumb and finger, you're actually pinching so much that your thumb or finger are touching this inner part of the cup here. And when that happens, it creates too much friction, it doesn't grind well, and it'll start to orbit around your fingers. Now, there's another reason why that same motion can happen, and that's if you miss your catch a little bit, and instead of getting your thumb or finger on the inside of the cup and then the yo-yo falling down into position, if you accidentally touch this outer face of the rim, then it'll have the same effect because there'll be too much friction and you'll start to feel the yo-yo orbit around your fingers a little bit. And that just comes with practice, getting your aim just right so that you don't touch that part of the yo-yo. Now, the second problem that you might run into is after you get the catch, the yo-yo might start to twist and turn a little bit. And that looks like this. And you could probably see me turning my wrist a little bit to get that to happen. The reason that that happens is because when you catch the yo-yo, if either your thumb or your finger is higher than the other, then that'll put more pressure on that side of the yo-yo, which again will add friction to that side, which will cause it to turn or twist to compensate to deal with that friction. The other reason for that can happen is if your fingers aren't perfectly aligned with the axis of the yo-yo, but they're just twisted off center a little bit, then you'll find you put a little bit more pressure here or here on the yo-yo instead of it being perfectly centered, and that will also cause it to twist and turn. So again, to kind of sum up, you want to have a nice loose catch. You want to make sure that your fingers are perfectly even in height and that they're perfectly lined up with the axis of the yo-yo, and that should help you solve a lot of those problems. Now, those are just problems that happen either as or after you're catching, but actually just catching the yo-yo and getting that aim down, that can be pretty tricky all by itself. So I'll give you a couple of tips to help with that as well. The first thing that you want to practice when you're doing this is just pulling the yo-yo up in a pretty consistent fashion. And what you want is you want the yo-yo to peak right about the place where you want to catch it, and you want to catch it wherever your hand is most comfortable. And that way you've got the biggest range of motion. If you need to go up and down a little bit, if you just position it right here, kind of like right in the middle of your chest, then you'll have much more success. When you're going for the catch on this trick, one of the nice things is that you don't have to be super precise. As long as you can get your thumb and finger pretty much anywhere inside the cup of the yo-yo, as long as you're not pinching too hard or touching this flat part of the rim, then the yo-yo will just naturally fall into place and perform the grind the way that you want. Now, that doesn't mean that the catch is easy. It is probably the part of the trick that's going to give you the most trouble. And as you're practicing, again, you might be tempted to toss it up really high, and that might make you feel like you've got more time, but as you can see, the yo-yo's moving faster at the point you want to catch it. So it's much better to just pull it up to the height where you want to catch it, and then if you actually follow the yo-yo up and down with your hand, even use your knees a little bit, then that'll give you just a little bit more time to get your hands in place so that you can actually perform the catch. Now, when you want to perform the bind, one thing about this is that it does need to be spinning fast enough, and so you want to make sure to get a really powerful throw and make sure that you get a good catch on it as well. And all you're going to do is just toss the string over the side of your hand just like this, And then to perform the bind, you're just going to pull straight down. And that'll rotate the outer rim of the bearing like we talk about in our bind theory video, and that will allow the bind to work. So in practice, that looks like this. And you can see that it winds up cleanly in your hand, and it's a nice effect to finish the trick. Now, when you're actually thinking about using Talon grinds in the middle of tricks, one thing that you can do with this trick is it actually fits in really well in a lot of tricks where you'd normally use a finger grind. So on a trick like Calypso, you can actually replace the finger grinds as you're going through Ouija with Talon grinds, and that'll add a completely different effect. The other thing that you can do with this trick is any trick where you want to do kind of like a lot of motion with the string, then it gives you a little bit more time to work on the trick and to get it into place because the grind can last for such a long time and it's so controlled. So the Talon grind, it's probably one of the easier grinds to work with once you've got it down, but because that catch is difficult, it might take a little bit longer to learn, but once you get it, it's one of the best grinds that you can use for tricks. So that is the Talon grind.